Today I'll be preaching on wisdom. First of all, what is wisdom? Wisdom is the ability to make sound judgments and decisions based on knowledge, experience, and good judgment. It involves having a deep understanding of life, people, and the world around us, as well as the ability to apply that knowledge in practical ways. In the Bible, it said, wisdom is the principal thing. A principal thing is anything considered essential for living a good and fulfilling life. It is the foundation upon which a successful life is built. In this case, wisdom is the principal thing. In Proverbs 4, verse 7, it says, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. This verse alone emphasizes the importance of wisdom in our lives and how it affects what we do and where we go to. It states that wisdom is the most important thing that we can acquire and that we should strive to get it above every other thing. You can't have a life and expect to go far without having wisdom in order to guide yourself. The verse also encourages us to seek understanding along with wisdom, meaning we should not only seek knowledge and insight, but also the ability to apply that knowledge in practical ways. By doing so, we can make sound judgments and decisions that honor God and lead to a fulfilling life. One of the main things I like about James is the first chapter. It talks about the importance of wisdom. As James chapter 1 verse 5 says, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. However, it's important to note that you can't just sit around and wait for wisdom to come. It won't just show up to you. You have to go out, you have to seek, you have to want it, you have to ask God for it in order for you to receive wisdom. We must actively seek out and ask God for it. There is always a point in your life that you're lost, confused, or you're going through something that causes you pain, and that's considered your wilderness experience. And that's when you need God's wisdom the most. It's during these challenging times that we may be tempted to rely on our own understanding or seek quick fixes that may not be in our best interest. However, by seeking God's wisdom, we can find the clarity, guidance, and strength we need to overcome our struggles and move forward with confidence. Because if you depend on your own understanding, you end up in another roadblock. And if you try to find your way out with your own understanding again, you end up in another roadblock, and it's continuous. So sometimes you need God's help in order to get yourself into a safe space and a safe spot. God's wisdom especially can provide us with a fresh perspective, a renewed sense of purpose, and the courage to face life's challenges head on. Sometimes you can't do it alone, and sometimes you need somebody, and sometimes your friend, your best friends, they might not be there for you, and you need God, because God is always going to be with you, because he sticks closer to you than your brother, right? Sometimes you just need to take a step back from everything you do and everything people's opinions really play a big part in some people's life. People saying you shouldn't do this, you should do that, you should be this way, you shouldn't be this way. But sometimes you have to just take a step back and meditate and just reflect on your life and where you want to go and what you want to do with it. Because if you allow other people to get into your head, you'll be in a more darker place than with your own mindset. Because people tend to their own mentality and their own the pressure they put on themselves is normally a lot. So adding on other people's will make them lose their way and put them in a deeper spot than they were. Wisdom is more than just an intelligence, or it's more than being intelligent or having knowledge. It involves having good judgment, insight, and the ability to apply what you know in a practical way. Having wisdom also comes with time and with age. Some people acquire wisdom earlier because of what they've experienced and what they've learned. So you might look at them as a tiny child, but they've seen a lot. Having wisdom also involves making the right decisions, and is about understanding the consequences of our actions and choosing the right path in which we should follow. But as humans, we are not perfect, and we often make mistakes, both knowingly and unknowingly. Like Romans 3 verse 23 says, all has sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. This means that each and every day, unconsciously, knowingly, consciously, unknowingly, we all fall short of the glory of God. And I use that, me personally, I don't use that as an excuse. I won't be the type to be like, oh, I can never meet God's standard. No, that's not the case. Even if you try, a lot of people try to be the perfect person, but in that way of you trying to be perfect, you're never really perfect. You're always trying to meet up to a standard, and some people use that as a way to look good in front of people, but that's never the case. In doing so, you're also falling short of the glory of God, because that's not what God would want you to do. Instead of doing all of that, we should learn from our mistakes, see them, and use them as opportunities for growth and improvement. And we should also never be afraid to ask for forgiveness of our sins and try to do better in the future. Mistakes can be valuable learning experiences, but they should not define us or discourage us from pursuing our goals. By doing so, we can become better versions of ourselves and live a life that honors God. Everybody has their own way of getting into their own safe space. Like you as a person, you should have a safe place in which you can go, in which you can reflect, in which you can learn and better yourself. I knew what worked for me. You got to find what works for you, because not something that works for someone else will not work for you. So you have to be able to find what works for you in the best way that you can use it for yourself, right? Wisdom is only beneficial to those who possess it and use it wisely. It is not enough to simply know what is wise. We must also put that knowledge into practice in order to reap its benefits. Because it's one thing to know what to do. That's where wisdom comes in. It's one thing to know what to do. But if you don't know how to apply it, having it is useless. Sometimes you need to go to someone who has more wisdom than you to help you. Because sometimes you can't do it yourself. Seeking wisdom is indeed a lifelong journey that requires patience, perseverance, and an open mind. You can't expect something to happen fast. Being patient comes with its benefits. Sometimes if you're not patient, you won't get to reap from what you've waited for. You understand? So I learned that patience is key. And perseverance. Okay, and perseverance is also a main part. Sometimes persevering has its limits, right? If you overdo something, you won't get it at all. If you underdo something, you won't get it at all. Sometimes you just have to persevere and wait, right? You don't have to over persevere, over put in work, so you don't suffer from what you want to gain instead of gaining from it, right? I could motivate you to do something, but you'll still make mistakes. It's normal, because everybody makes mistakes. You won't be perfect even if you try. It's just for you to take what you've heard and try to impute it in your life, because it won't just happen at once. So you need to actually try and be consistent. And I also learned consistency. That follows under wisdom. Consistency is key. Being so consistent with God. Me, I'm not consistent. I try to be but sometimes I can't. And that's just me. Sometimes I'm too lazy. I don't want to do it. I'm not ready to do it. Normal human fleshy things. You won't be able to do it unless you put your mind to do it. And sometimes you don't realize what you will gain from what you do. So, based off what you learn and what you do, it shows your worth. It shows who you are and what you're capable of. And I thank God for sticking with me through most of everything that I've done, because without him, I wouldn't have been able to do everything under all of that. Despite our imperfections, we should not let our mistakes hold us back from following God's plan or achieving our goals. As I said before, mistakes can be valuable learning experiences, but they should not define us or discourage us from pursuing our goals. By doing so, we can become better versions of ourselves in a life that honors God. With God's guidance, we can find the wisdom we need to navigate through life's challenges and fulfill our purpose. I've learned that I'd rather accept help and accept God's guidance than think I can do it on my own and move forward by myself. Because when God gives you guidance, you have to listen to him. You can't just get the guidance and go. You have to listen to him. It's a process. You go on by fulfilling your purpose is a main thing on this earth. You must fulfill purpose. You wouldn't want to be on the earth just to be on the earth. You have to have something for yourself that leaves a place for your children, a legacy for your children, your great-grandchildren, and everybody else. And remember that wisdom is a precious gift that can bring us closer to God. It can really bring you closer to God. Adhering and listening to God can really bring you closer to him. And it can help you live a fulfilling life. And I hope and I pray that each of us finds more wisdom to guide our lives and makes the most of all the opportunities that come our way. Thank you.